Every frame of Final Fantasy VII Remake's latest trailer seems to represent either a serious upgrade or a total curveball from the game we've all been playing since 1997. And we're going to do that exact thing Cloud does with his lustrous hair 10 times a day. Go through this thing with a fine-toothed comb. Probably the biggest WTF moment of the whole trailer is right in the middle of the big motorcycle chase, when some well-coiffed dandy with a massive sword, the same style as Zack Fair's, shows up to smile at the camera. But the telling part was when Jessie and Cloud have this exchange.
Who's that?
A soldier.
Now the question there is whether he meant lowercase soldier or all caps soldier. The latter would actually make more sense, though we primarily know Cloud, Zack, and Sephiroth as the key members of Soldier. Don't forget that Soldier is supposed to be Shinra's personal A-team of keen-to-kill mercenaries. So it makes sense that President Shinra might have a few killers on retainer willing to go after the folks looking to blow up his precious Mako reactor. Still, we don't stick around long enough to find out, so it could be up in the air. Another sequence that might make you do a double take is a moment where our entire crew of intrepid eco-terrorists is parachuting down into the slums. That by itself might just make for a cool little action beat, and it has echoes of when the original game had you parachuting down into what's left of Midgar from the Highwind. What wasn't there before, however, was Biggs, Wedge, and Jessie. In fairness, that's been a running motif for most of the footage thus far, in that it's an absolute certainty that these three have definitely been upgraded into second-string players in the story, instead of just disposable cannon fodder. They're there for the bombing mission, they're there with Barrett helping to defend the slums, they're with Cloud on his motorcycle chase. Without a doubt, their roles have been beefed up considerably, which means, man, it's gonna suck when or if they get offed. Naturally, you can't have a Final Fantasy VII without Sephiroth showing up. The guy's maybe the most ubiquitous thing about the whole game, but the old one-winged angel's appearances have been a little different thus far in the remake. We see him speak a few words to Cloud, but we've never actually seen him interact with anything, like he's a ghost.
Can you bear to see the planet suffer, Cloud?
That tradition's carried on in the new trailer, brief though his appearance may be. What's intriguing is the fact that he's appearing so early on in the game story-wise. It gives the sense that Cloud isn't slowly falling into madness as he begins to lose touch with himself. He's been a tortured soul this whole time, which makes his unwillingness to get too attached to people make a bit more sense. Another major sequence that has fans intrigued is a scene where the slums are besieged by what appear to be ghosts. Why Barrett and Jessie are trying to kill ghosts with non-ghost guns, who knows, but at least they're trying, right? Would you be surprised if we told you you might have seen these guys before? These dudes bear more than a little resemblance to the hooded figures that wander around Nibelheim. Those hooded figures turned out to be failed, half-insane clones of Sephiroth. Why they'd be attacking the slums, or why they're all floating around like someone shut down the Ghostbusters protection grid, no clue. But it does hint that things might be going screwy in Midgar long before Sephiroth himself actually decides to make a physical appearance. One of the greatest joys of watching Final Fantasy VII Remake come together is seeing just how far every character's new CG model has come from the days when they all just looked like little pink blocks with hair. In this particular trailer, it was Turk's turn, and all those polygons did not let those boys down at all. Stylish as much as they're aggravating, the Turks even managed to get a sweet, hard rock upgrade for their theme song. It's a beautiful thing. What nobody expected, however, was seeing Reno, in particular, show off a completely different side of him. It happens so quickly, you might miss it, but when Reno decides to engage Cloud in battle, he teleports himself behind him. That's kind of a far cry from, well, this fool.
All we want is to be with Mother!
Of all the events in the original Final Fantasy VII that fans expected to get a total overhaul, the entire Don Corneo sequence had to be among the top 5. Notorious for several reasons, most of which involve Cloud in a dress, this sequence represents a Temple of Doom level derail into insanity that, in a weird way, games could probably use a little bit more of. But until today, we were stuck with this, as it was, in all its tacky glory. The good folks at Square Enix seem to know this, and the trailer spends quite a bit of time showing that this is going to go down very differently. Tifa doesn't wind up a damsel in distress. Instead, she is part of the plan from the start. including getting in on the gym action and participating in the lifting contests. Aerith stepping out with her dress is a grand showcase of character modeling, but Cloud is still in his normal clothes, all while Tifa and Aerith tease him. This looks like way more of an organized plan than before, which is great, despite the fact that Don Corneo himself is still a world-class scumbucket.
Don't be shy, little kitten. Shimmy on over and give Daddy some sugar.
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more SVG videos about your favorite games are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.